Truth, lies, shenanigans.
Robbie, let's talk abortion again.
All right. So the news site Politico shocked the United States Monday night when it published an initial draft majority opinion that proposes that the U.S. Supreme Court intends to strike down Roe versus Wade. So, quick history refresher: Roe versus Wade is the 1973 landmark decision of the U.S. Supreme Court, in which the court ruled that the Constitution of the United States protects a pregnant woman's liberty to choose to have an abortion without excessive government restriction. So the Supreme Court on Tuesday did confirm that the leaked draft ruling to overturn Roe versus Wade was authentic, but not final. As you would imagine, the leak has provoked a political uproar with possibly broad voting and legal consequences. It didn't take long for protesters from both sides of the debate to gather outside of the court in support or in protest. The Democrats and President Biden have sworn to make abortion rights a significant issue of the fall midterm elections. And the leak itself is significant. The content of the document is significant. These are shenanigans of the highest order. What say you, my friend?
Let's start with Liz on this one. Let's get started with Liz. What do you think, Liz?
So, obviously, as a member of the media, a working member of the media, right? For the most part, I welcome leaks. I welcome whistleblowers and things like that. However, I think this is unprecedented. I think it's dangerous. And I think it's a threat to not only our legal system, but to our democracy. There are things that have to be held in confidence. There are things that, we should hold sacred, especially as it relates to court cases. Because if you start with this particular case here, what's to say that you have something that is going to, not even just to the Supreme Court, but any court, and somebody leaks it, and it affects the outcome of your case, it affects the jury. So no, I don't. Well, I am so pro-choice. I can't even explain to you how pro-choice I am without ever having had an abortion, without ever having had any children or being pregnant. However, I do not like this leak.
Hmm.
I do not like this leak. And I think
I was
that,
actually surprised. I'm surprised to hear that from you.
John Roberts, he has a situation on his hands. He has a situation on his hands right now. I can't even begin to speculate where the leak came from. I know there were some idiots out there who had to, the nerve to say that Miss Katanji was the source of the leak. I'm like, really? How did that happen when she had not even yet been before the confirmation hearings,
Of
right? She had
course.
not yet been confirmed, and she has yet to be sworn in.
Of course.
But people are dumb. This is America. We dumb. We got some dumb ones out here. But I do not like it. I don't like it at
All
all.
right. I just want to point out that since we're talking about that, the original Roe v. Wade ruling was leaked as well. Now, it may have been a couple of hours before the actual ruling, but it was leaked. So this isn't the first time we've seen leaks from a ruling, especially for something as significant as this. And if you can imagine, this was during that time, it was more to quell the other side of the. What were you gonna say, Liz? I saw you about to say something.
I was just going to ask, and this is for Rob as well. So if let's say, in a perfect world, we find out who leaked this information. If it's one of the justices, what do you think should happen?
Ooh, let's ask Gianni. Let's go to Gianni first. Go ahead. What do you think should happen, Gianni?
That's interesting about the league. I think that, well, first that person has to do jail time, but I think this is politically, do you think this is politically led? Like I think it has to be. It has to be. How does something this big get leaked? Even though it's the same one, like you said, that got leaked in the beginning. No, this isn't a mistake. But like
absolutely
Liz
not.
said, I don't.
No. Oh, God, no.
Like,
the attack on women's reproductive rights has been under attack politically for some time now.
The biggest hot button issue we've dealt with the Supreme Court.
But
This is the legal system, not political.
But Gianna raises a good point, because we don't know if this leak was from someone who is pro-choice, right, and is concerned, or if this was just a political move. We have no idea.
Because the midterms are coming up. So
That's it.
it,
With the fall
idea,
midterms
really.
coming up, now they've politicized it. They're going to have to take a stance on the issue. So this
and
is going to be another galvanizing point.
this is actually a good thing for Republicans base. I mean, Democratic base as well. So I mean, it could be go either
Yeah.
way. It's not a bad thing for either political side. Actually,
But are you guys a little bit shocked that this, not even just that this came out, but also that they're ruling to take away this protection for pregnant women? Like, is this a shock to you, or are you guys like? Because it was a
is it a
shock
shock?
to me. Like with
Oh,
all of
really? It
these
was a shock.
free, yeah,
No,
I feel like the leftists were
I'm
winning
Nope.
when
I'm
it
more
came to
This
shocked
was
about the
been.
former than I am the latter because
Yep.
there is a part of me that still believes in the tenets of government, right? Um, I have to because I live in a democracy. But the second, no, they've been telling us for
Hmm.
years. They've been warning us
It
for
was a
years
setup.
that this is what they
wow.
want to do.
When
Um,
Trump nominated 3 conservative justices, it was a guarantee almost that Roe v. Wade would be overturned.
Mm-hmm.
Robbie?
or the threat of Roe v. Because
Oh,
it
the threat.
hasn't been overturned yet.
That's true.
Um,
That's
they may
true.
they may reverse now to save face. They may reverse,
They might. I don't believe
you
it, but
know,
they might.
but we'll see.
Robbie?
Rob,
Yeah, it's interesting because it has absolutely trickled north, and it
mm,
has sparked the debate. It has sparked the furor because I mean, it's just one of those things. It blows my mind. What should we do? There's a breach of confidence. There's a breach of trust, definitely. So whatever the penalty is, um, if it is a justice that came out, I don't know, like give them a medal because this is a big one. If this is a whistleblower thing, Liz. I feel that the whistleblower thing applies here. Like someone needed to alert the American people this was going on so that there can be some kind of pushback. I agree with what you say in that it discredits the Supreme Court somewhat because of the leak of information. And there needs to be some privacy or some autonomy to be able to make decisions. But it's honestly, whoever blew the whistle, give them a medal because I'm an ally, ladies.
But they did
Sorry,
for
man.
people to react. I feel like they did that for people to react, and that's kind of dangerous at this time of women to, like, say you, like you said, Rob, they're pro-choice and there's pro-life, and so it's just a day. I just feel like, I don't know, women on both ends of the spectrum is just not the time to be protesting right now. Like, I just don't. That's just more of an intuitive feeling, but I feel like it could be something that's like a setup for them to protest.
Good
Why?
question.
Why do you? For what?
Liz, you had a
I don't know.
response.
I think the act in itself, if it turns out that this was an act, well, regardless of who leaked it, right? But especially if this was a justice, I think it's a treasonous act. I think it's an act of treason.
Wow. Okay.
Wow.
Like you take an oath. You take an oath, you know, and regardless of the issue, because this could have easily been, right, an issue that was pro Democrat, pro liberal.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
because someone on the other side didn't like it or whatever, so they leaked it or whatever the reason, this is not the place for that because
Interesting.
it lends itself to people's personal interpretations of what is acceptable in terms of a leak, and that's not what the court is for. And
I'm
so
feeling.
I
I
think I honestly think if it's an act of treason.
I think I can see where you're coming from. But I still agree with Robbie. I'm happy for the leak. I can see where it was wrong.
I didn't say
Uh,
I wasn't happy. I
okay.
didn't say
Okay.
I
Okay.
wasn't happy, but I'm happy because I'm pro-choice. I'm
Mixed
not happy
feelings.
as it relates to the
So,
government
so-
issue,
okay. Fair enough.
to the
Fair.
legality of it. Yes,
That's certainly fair.
Yep.
yeah.
All right. So comments online. Jose says, "How quick are they to point the fingers to Dems?" Um,
To the
er,
black Dems, to the black Dems, too, to the black sister who ain't even been sworn in yet.
Ernest Cooper says, "Impeach Jacqueline Robinson. The leak is appalling. John Roberts has no control over his court. It's interesting that his he immediately called for an investigation of the leak, but there's no investigation to Clarence Thomas and his troglodyte insurrectionist wife.
Booyah! Booyah! The segue. The segue.
Right. Yeah. The leak only benefits the left, Neo. 70% of the Americans are opposed to overturn of Roe v. Wade. 87% of Americans want some form of abortion to be legal. This is killing the R's in the midterms. It has a potential to. But it is also
Absolutely, because
galvanizing them as well, though. It's
when it
galvanizing their
goes down to the
base.
polls, when people vote on this behind closed doors in privacy, it doesn't matter what you march on the streets. It doesn't matter what you post on your social media. You're going to vote with your values on that issue.
It's definitely
And
not
that's
only
right.
benefiting the left, though. It's not only benefiting the left.
I would
Yeah,
say
it doesn't
though,
benefit one
I would say though very quickly, Rob, like some people aren't really voting with their values because there are a lot of hypocrites. I mean, there are a lot of people that are sitting in Congress who are pro-life, anti-abortion, yet their mistresses have had abortion. Their daughters have had
Oh,
abortion.
Yep.
So
absolutely. So
it
when it comes time to passing the laws, and that's it. Like they're going to talk the talk. They're going to
mhm,
present whatever they want to present. But when it's time to support a decision, they're going to say, "Ooh,
mhm.
well, I don't want my wife to have an abortion, but my mistress, hell yeah, she needs to have
Hell
an abortion
yeah.
immediately."
My daughter, hell
So
yeah.
So,
Hell
exactly.
real quick, I want to say I think the Supreme Court is definitely getting this wrong. The right to choice is in the Constitution. Choice should be the baseline for freedom, right? Of course, you're not going to be able to choose to do whatever you want, but we're not talking. And again, we're not even talking when we talk about choice. We're not even talking about like you know moving removing masks or being forced to wear masks. That's a temporary issue. But in general, I feel like every person should be allowed to make choices for themselves, their family, their body. I know Lizzie, you're strongly pro-choice, but they should be able to make those choices without the government making you do something against your will. If you make the choice, if you make choice the baseline requirement, right? Everyone has the right to choose what happens to themselves. Then anti-abortionists or pro-lifers or whatever you want to call them should take all of this effort they're putting into forcing women to do what they think is the best thing for them and put more effort into convincing them to make different choices, right? Because the baseline is choices. So if they want to, let me give you an example. So, for example, if you don't want abortions because it, quote, kills babies, then make the choice of prophylactics and birth control more affordable, readily available, and free. If you want
Mhm.
people to continue with an unplanned pregnancy, then make the choice of going forward more appealing. Take care of the cost of pregnancy and delivery, cover the income of a deadbeat father. Now, who wants to go in knowing that they're going to be a single mother for 18 years? Help provide
Yeah.
afterbirth care like a nanny for people who aren't
mental
ready or
health.
too young, mental health support, make childcare free and affordable, right? And then you talk, victims of rape and incest, you want them to go forward. Like Gianni
Yeah.
said, make sure that you
Yeah.
have some type of support for them. It's, I just feel like, and then of course, harsher penalties for rapists. I mean,
That's
come
what
Hell
I
on,
was
yes.
gonna say.
harsher penalties
That's
for
what
No.
I was gonna
rapists,
say.
child
Because
abusers, so
what's
that don't
lost
you
in
have
a
to
lot
make
of this
these choices.
conversation, what's lost in a lot of this conversation is the responsibility of the male. Women are
Right,
not
Yes.
getting pregnant by
Yeah.
themselves.
right.
And I've
Yes.
seen so many people on my social media timeline talking about women need to make better decisions. Women need to make better decisions in terms of the men that they choose. And my response is, well, the men have the penises. How about
Get a
you make a better
vasectomy.
decision?
Mhm.
Either cover that shit up or, like Neo said, get a vasectomy. Don't worry about what I got over here. Because even if again, I've never been pregnant, but if I am pregnant, right? The gestation period is 10 months. Full term is 10 months. But in that time, I can only get pregnant once, 99% of the time. In
Yeah.
10 months, you can impregnate a woman several times a day, once a day, an unlimited amount of time. Look at Nick Cannon. Look at Future. Look at
Oh yeah.
Antonio Cromartie. These are all men who have kids who are roughly around the same age. out here having babies, as much as I pop, I don't know, Antoids or
Pez.
Altoids. I pop an Altoid, I pop a Pez, you got some girl pregnant. We're not
Mhm.
Yep.
focusing on the other side of the issue before we
Yeah.
even get to the pregnancy. And like you said, Neo, not even focusing on the young women who are being abused, who are being groomed, who are being forced into having babies that they don't want, they are being guilted into having, and they don't know how to care for. Look
Right.
at, the foster care system, all
Mm.
these kids in foster care that,
And then the system isn't designed to support the mom or the child. They'll fight
or
for
the
that fetus.
child,
They'll fight tooth
or
and
the
nail for
child.
that
They don't
fetus,
have
but once
health
it's out,
care.
you're on your own.
We have all these
Yeah.
dudes
Figure it
out
out.
here talking shit about, their baby mamas. So first of all, it's the plural in that, right? They don't say their wives, they say their baby mamas. So they got more than one, and about how they getting hemmed up for child support. Well, I mean, how much is the child support versus a box of condoms? You could have
Right.
you
Yeah.
could have stopped
Right.
this off in the
Right.
beginning.
Right. I
So,
mean, where are the resources? Like, I mean, when right now, if you think about it, right now, when a woman finds themselves in these situations, whether it's having a baby in poverty, having a baby because of incest, rape, or whatever, what's the most appealing choice right now? Is abortion. There is no more appealing choice because either they don't want to deal with the social issues, they don't want to deal with the money issues. Because if you think about how hard it is to raise a child in the United States, how much it costs, how much effort it is, especially if you're alone doing it, who wants to choose that? Right?
Yeah.
So make the choices better. If you want people to if you're about pro life, if you're about
Please.
pro life and the baseline is choice and freedom, make better choices available to people. Don't sit there and say you're going to not have a child, you're not going to have an abortion, and we're not going to do anything to help you either. You're just going to be stuck with this baby and you're going to have to struggle no matter what for however long you have to struggle. That's
And
ridiculous.
just to say, also, abortion has been something, I think we talked about it too. It's been going on forever. Like, if there's not
Oh,
legal
God, yeah.
ways to
Yes,
do it,
centuries,
exactly.
there's home
centuries.
remedy.
Exactly. They're
Yes,
not going to
centuries.
stop.
Thank
The
you.
reality is they can pass all these stupid laws. They're not going to stop abortions. Only thing they're stopping is safe abortions. That's it.
Yes.
Everyone
Yeah.
go out and watch the movie, the first one. I didn't really see the second one, but go out and watch the HBO film If These Walls Could Talk. If
If
These
these
Walls
walls.
Could Talk, which goes through abortions in different decades. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe it's the 60s, 70s, and the 80s. I could be wrong. It could be 70s, 80s, 90s.
50s, 70s, and 90s.
Okay.
50s,
So yeah,
70s,
so
and
it
90s. Yeah.
it goes through the iterations of abortion in this country in those decades. And when I first saw that movie, Demi Moore is in it, Sissy Spacek is in it, and I can't remember the third lead actor,
Share.
Cher.
Oh,
But
cool.
Demi
Oh,
Moore's
wow.
segment, like it made me pause and stand still, like, wow. So is this what we want to go
Mm.
back to? Is this what we want to do? Because, like Neo said, you're not going to stop the act. It's going to happen.
No.
It's been happening. And people need to stop thinking that, in terms of if a woman gets pregnant, I've heard a lot of people say, well, just have the baby and give it up for adoption. I don't want to be pregnant for 10 months. I don't.
No.
And we need to stop acting
And
like,
that's not easy.
being pregnant and having a baby is the same as going in the bathroom and taking a shit. It's not.
It's not.
It's
And then we're not
not.
talking about the health. There's some situations where it could cause the woman to die, or they could have an
Woman to die, unhealthy pregnancy, all types of complications. Look at
right.
Serena Williams when she talked about when she was pregnant and how the doctors did not believe her when she was telling them that she was having issues. She was having clotting issues. She knows her body.
Yeah.
She almost
Yeah.
died. And this was a wanted baby, a wanted pregnancy. Like,
Yeah.
we need to get real about this. But I want to go back very quick, and I know we're running low on time, but
Yeah. I was going to say
I think Jacqueline Robinson brought up the Clarence Thomas issue
yes.
of
Let's
it
bring that
all.
up quickly. We do need to bring that up quickly. Go ahead.
Going back to this, like, yes, this is a very important issue, and John Roberts has a lot to deal with on his hands if he's calling for an investigation. But what about the investigation into Clarence Thomas, whose wife is soliciting and emailing, Trump's former chief of staff to overturn Biden's election?
Yeah.
There's no investigation for that? What? Like,
Wow.
come
He
on.
recently made some
Come on.
comments too. I'm trying to find them real quick, but he recently made some comments about this leak, and
He
it
made some
just
comments about this and how people need to, I think it was, because I put it on the site, I think it was paraphrasing here, how people need to accept certain judgment.
right. Mhm. Yep.
And I said, okay,
And he
but
said
did you
that
discuss that with your wife?
he also
Because
said that
clearly she's not accepting.
he also said the court won't be bullied. He also said that, and that's the thing
Neither,
about it.
neither will the White House.
Yeah.
Neither will the White House.
And that was the thing that bothered me about it, like you said, is that he's saying this, but then I'm like, what about your wife?
Well, we all know. I mean,
Why are
I'm
we
not
even
allowed to.
listening to this nonsense from this
I'm no
dude?
longer allowed to say the word on the show, but we all know the C word
Oh.
applies.
The C
Clarence
word.
Thomas.
All right.
So,
All right. So Mike Winter. So Jacqueline Rob says, Mike Winter, this has definitely galvanized women who want autonomy over their own bodies. It starts with, uh, and now it starts with this, and now there's talk about banning birth control, including IUDs, condoms, and the Plan
gonna
B pill.
that's
Fewer
gonna be the next
choices.
step.
Now you have
That's
fewer
gonna be the next
choices, and
step.
you're only left with abortion now. How dumb is
Because
that?
these people,
So you're
that's
left with
gonna
the
be the next
rhythm
step.
and pullout method. They don't work. They don't
Because
work.
these people, these,
Pull
religious
out.
conservative right people believe that a woman has no choice once she gets pregnant. A woman only is supposed to be having sex to get pregnant. Therefore, she shouldn't need birth control, any type of birth control. We're only supposed to be having sex to procreate. And if we get pregnant, we need to have that baby. That's the thought process. So birth control is next.
Yeah, Mike Winter says it has nothing to do with the fetus, it has to do with maintaining a caste of poverty.
Mm.
Jacqueline Robinson, it will start with overturning Roe. Some of IQ 45's federal court nominees refused to answer whether they thought Brown versus Board of Education is a good law. So it's only starting with that's something that uh, Ocasio Cortez also said that they're not only coming for abortion. Um, and then Jeanette Brown says men keep showing up at my place hoping for
Mm.
sex without condoms. What the fuck?
Mm.
Why
You
is it
better speak
assumed
on it. You
that
better
this
speak on
is
it.
on the woman?
It's
Ru-
your penis. Protect your penis, people.
Hell yes.
Like, yes, I have condoms in my house because I know your ass might not have one.
Robin Johnson, mother mortality in the country is higher than any other industrialized nation. Mother
Absolutely.
mortality.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's not just like having a bowel movement. There are high risk
God.
in having babies. High risk.
I wish
And
they
they
would.
don't want to acknowledge it.
I just wish the pro-lifers would see that the reality is most people don't like the idea of abortions. A lot of people get abortions and then they end up regretting it. But having the right to control what happens to their bodies is also important. It's just, I mean, they just need to figure out I think if pro-lifers could get their shit together, they could rebrand, make it truly about pro-life and offering different choices and less about the government controlling women. I think actually you would find more pro-choice people would actually support the pro-life movement if they
They
could
would
get
have to
their
do
shit
different
together.
groups.
I don't
It would have
mind
to do
people
different
being
groups
pro-life
because
for
that's not
themselves. If you don't believe in abortion, then don't have one. I can't say
Right?
that enough.
Yes,
If you don't
exactly.
believe in it, then don't
Make
do
your
it. But don't
choices.
try to tell me what I need to do with my body.
Yeah.
Period.
You can tell people and telling people versus suggesting
Yes.
or making options available is
Don't
totally
even
different.
suggest it to me. Don't even
If they
suggest
really
it. I don't want
wanted
to
to
hear what you
help,
got to say.
that's
Yeah.
the way they would
I
go
just think
if
they should make
wanted
more
to.
choices available. It just comes down to that.
Yep.
Just make more
Can I
choices available.
can I just add this very quickly? Just very quickly.
Mm.
2 years ago when I was still teaching at Howard, I had a student who came to me. She had just turned 18 years old. She was about a month before taking her finals, right? And she came to me to explain why she had been absent from classes for the previous, 3 weeks, whatever. And she came to me and she said, I just want to let you know that I'm pregnant. So I had to put on the poker face He just turned 18, got to put on a poker face because you don't want to judge these young people. But then she said to me, she was like, "Don't worry about it. It's going to be taken care of." And a part of me felt really sad, because I did feel like, oh my God, she's going to have an abortion. But then a part of me was like, I appreciate that she has the opportunity to make this choice for herself. She was in ROTC. She was going to join the military once she graduated. Like, she had her plan. And she knew that she could not fulfill that plan. She didn't want to fulfill that plan with this child. And so I gave her a hug. I asked her if she needed more time for her final. She said, "Nope, I will be ready." And off she went. And that stuck with me because there are a lot of young ladies, young people who are in these situations. Now, she didn't say how she got pregnant. It could have been with a boyfriend. It could have been rape. We don't know. And I don't think we have the right to ask. People keep talking about, oh, well, in cases of rape, how do you determine that? There's no way to determine that.
Yep.
And in the time that you take to determine that, the chance of her having the opportunity for her to have an abortion is gone.
Yep.
So we need to stop with this bullshit. We need to look at it for what it is.
Yeah.
Give women the right to take care of their bodies and their situation. Period.
Yeah. Just one last comment before we close it. So Mike Winter says, also most pro-lifers are also pro-death penalty, which makes no sense because it's not
Speak
about
on it.
life.
Speak on it. They
Jesus,
will kill a motherfucker
guns,
in a second.
babies.
In a second.
They're all about killing. Wars too. Also, most of them are big on wars, and anyway, it's really if we're being honest, this is about control. Because I think it really comes down to men, wanting to be able to control what happens in women's wombs. It just, like if I have a wife, I want it.
There's a great
Men
idea.
want to be able to control whether or not something happens to that baby.
And they used to
Relegate
have
this
this control.
decision to the female Supreme Court justices, because if you look at their historical standings, that's a 2-1 decision in favor of keeping Roe versus Wade.
Mm.
And also, people need to go look up, actually what Roe versus Wade is, because I had to school somebody last week and let them know, she did not have an abortion, right? Like most people,
Oh,
a
the
lot
woman.
of people,
You're talking about
a
Roe,
lot of people are
and was
out
it
here
Wade or
think
Roe?
that Jane Roe. A lot
Jane
of
Roe.
people
Yeah.
out here think that she had she did not.
She didn't.
She actually had the baby.
Mhm.
But this.
But
was
she wanted the
about
right.
the
Right.
right, the right to.
All right. Is this truth, lies, or shenanigans?
Truth.
Woo, it's so much.
Shenanigans.
All of it.
So
Actually.
much.
It is.
It's so much.
I'm going with truth and shenanigans.
It's shenanigans. It's
want
bullshit.
I don't know if it's
Like,
lies. It's not really a lot of lies, but definitely some
Look at my lead up.
shenanigans.
This is shenanigans of the highest order.
Truth. It's just.
I mean, they got me to the point now where I'm not having any children. People keep trying to put that on me. I'm not having any children. I'm an old lady now. Let's say I got pregnant tomorrow. Y'all got me up here thinking, okay, well, so let me, Facebook Live me going into the clinic just to show my support.
I mean, some of those.
That's how I feel right now.
I'm the same way. Some of these laws have gotten so crazy to the point where they're threatening to put women in jail if they have an abortion,
Well,
or
that's Texas.
Oh yeah.
That's Texas.
from the time of conception. How the hell do they even know they conceived? And they're going to have so many women in jail in these states. There's no way that this lasts.
No. Privatized prisons. Huh. I can't see how that won't work out. People are making money.
And then
more lovely things from conservatives.
And then she goes to jail and gets pregnant by the security guard, which has happened in the past 2 weeks. Yeah. That was a story in the news in the past 2 weeks.
Oh, so that's the security guard that can pump it into 100 inmates, and each of those inmates can only have the one baby, but he can have 100.
Right.
That's back to you.
All right, Gianni.
Sure.
Our last topic. All right, that was a great topic. We went a little long on that, but it was important to talk about.
There's a lot to say.
All right, Gianni. So we're going to keep this one short.